Everyone, it's the Bridge for Math again, coming at you today with a video on introducing functions. Up here, functions, probably the most important concept of all of algebra, and like many of you might laugh, it's yet another one of those F words in math, functions. First three letters are fun. I think we can actually make it fun, no joke. Let's give you a kind of an informal definition. It's a relationship that defines what you will get out when you put something in. Now there's fancy definitions, they call it a relation that has a unique output, but let's hold off for now. I just want you to understand a relationship, something defined by something else. It's really illustrated well with a diagram. X is the most common letter for algebra, it's the unknown. In this case, we're going to call X the input. Goes into this machine. So think of a function like a machine. It does something to your input. You put something into the machine. So your functions, your machine, and all of a sudden the machine gives you something out. And typically that's called the Y letter in algebra, where Y is defined as the range or the outputs that you get from valid inputs. X has another name. X is typically your domain. Your domain are the things that will actually work when you put it in. A joke that I often say in my classes is, do you think of a microwave as a machine? And most of my students say, yeah, I use microwaves all the time. Well, what is something you don't want to put in a microwave? Yes, metal. So metal is not in the domain of a microwave. However, popcorn, especially microwave popcorn, is definitely in the domain. So let's continue with some more real-life examples of functions to give you a better understanding of this important concept. So let's start off. You didn't realize this, but you were being corrupted into mathematics at an early age. Any of you get a toy called the See and Say? Yeah, I certainly did. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it's an example of a function. So think of the See and Say toy as a machine, which it is. Now, what happens when you pull the string and the arrow starts spinning? What lands and points to a picture of an animal. So literally, the input is the picture that is pointed at, the animal that is pointed at. Now, what happens? What's the output the machine gives you? The output the function gives you? The sound. Well, you got to imagine this. What would happen to the children out there if they're playing with the See and Say? It lands on the cat, it keeps saying meow. What would happen if all of a sudden it pointed at the cat but gave you another sound like moo? Yes, that's my impressive artwork of a cow. I've got my Puggle Camus dog here. But if it gave a different sound, wouldn't that be bad? Yes, it's called the machine is no longer functioning. So remember that key thought. Function means a machine. In algebra, it's an equation of some sort. But it means it works, it functions. So when it's functioning, you're going to get a unique output. Every time it points to the cat, you should hear a cat sound. So let's continue with that idea. This is the most fundamental idea of functions, is this unique output, this output that you can count on. Well, here's a crude picture of a vending machine. And I have a little out picture over here that kind of shows you the keypad that you type in. A1 or A2, that represents different shelving items in the vending machine. Well, what would be your input? What would be your X? Well, you type in the code like B2, and what would be your output? Well, it's going to be the goodie that falls out of the vending machine. Now let's talk about it. Does it make sense that it's a function? Well, you have certain inputs. You can only type in these inputs. These are the only things in your domain, correct? You can't type in any random numbers. You have to put in these valid inputs from the code machine. And what comes out, what are the outputs? Well, all the goodies that are stocked in the vending machine. So if you hit B2 the first time and out comes a Kit Kat, which is what you wanted. Now what happens if another person comes up there and enters B2? Yeah, you're hoping to get a Kit Kat. That means the vending machine is functioning. It functions. And likewise, I want to make the joke, if you put in B2 every time, you better expect Kit Kat every time if the thing's working. If you expect something else, for the same input. That's the definition of insanity. We don't want you to go insane through functions. That's why I keep watching videos with the Bridge for Math, Dr. B. And thank you so much, and good luck. We'll do some more examples soon.